Hello friends, welcome to Interesting Chinese Culture. I wonder if any of you have ever tried a Chinese dish called hot pot. In recent years, hot pot has become one of the most beloved foods among young people. It is popular not only in China, but also widely enjoyed by friends in many other countries. Chinese cuisine offers countless choices encompassing sour, sweet, bitter, spicy, and salty flavors in endless variations. Yet among all these possibilities, why has hot pot risen to become one of the most popular dishes of all? Today, let us talk about this iconic Chinese food, hot pot. In the long river of Chinese history, hot pot did not emerge as a sudden culinary invention. Instead, it is a unique cooking method that gradually evolved alongside the development of Chinese civilization. To trace the origins of hot pot, we must look back more than 3,000 years to the Shang and Zhou dynasties. During that era, a type of bronze vessel known as the ding was already widely used across China. It was not only a symbol of power and status, but also gave birth to the earliest form of hot pot. Most of these bronze ding vessels stood on 3 or 4 legs, allowing fire to be lit underneath while food was cooked above. This integration of heating and containment already embodied the core principle of hot pot. Archaeologists excavating the Yin ruins in Anyang, Henan, have uncovered large numbers of bronze ding used for rituals and banquets, some bearing clear scorch marks on their inner walls, indicating that they were heated directly over fire. In the Shanxi History Museum, a Western Zhou warming ding draws particular attention. Its design is remarkably sophisticated, a deep belly with an internal partition, the lower section holding charcoal while the upper section was used for cooking. Its working logic is strikingly similar to that of modern hot pot. If we speak of the true origin of hot pot, most scholars agree that it was not a named invention, but rather a way of eating that took shape through long-term daily practice. Based on existing texts and archaeological evidence, its earliest identifiable stage can be traced back to the Warring States through the Qin and Han periods. However, a fully developed form featuring communal dining around a shared vessel, using broth as the medium and cooking ingredients instantly by immersion, did not clearly appear until the Three Kingdoms and Wei Jin periods. From the late Eastern Han to the Three Kingdoms era, advances in metalworking led to the widespread use of cooking vessels such as ding, fu, and huo. These were essentially deep containers that could be heated directly over fire. Han Dynasty bronze artifacts already show structural prototypes with soup held above and fire burning below, allowing food to be taken directly from the vessel. Historical records describe military practices in which meat was divided and thrown into boiling broth, then eaten as soon as it was cooked. While this was not yet hot pot in its later social form, it already possessed the most crucial technical features of hot pot: a pot of boiling liquid and ingredients cooked and consumed on the spot. This method was especially suited to environments with frequent movement and limited resources, such as military campaigns, hunting expeditions, or collective labor. During the Spring and Autumn and Warring States periods, iron cookware gradually entered household kitchens. This metallurgical revolution not only transformed agriculture and warfare, but also subtly reshaped everyday eating habits. In an age marked by constant conflict yet vibrant intellectual life, a new way of dining that combined cooking vessels with direct heat sources began to take shape at aristocratic banquets. The nobility grew dissatisfied with merely dividing pre-cooked sacrificial meats and instead sought fresher, more immediate sensory experiences. Craftsmen cast hollow, tripod bronze vessels that could hold charcoal below and broth above, forming one of the earliest prototypes of hot pot equipment. These vessels not only met the need for keeping food warm, but also created a new dining experience centered on communal seating and instant cooking. At feasts hosted by the lords of the various states, cauldrons simmered with rich broths made from beef or mutton bones. Attendants presented paper-thin slices of meat and fresh vegetables in succession. Guests used long chopsticks to pick their chosen ingredients, gently swishing them through the boiling liquid before bringing them straight to the mouth. Laughter and conversation filled the air. This style of dining was not merely about flavor, but also a display of status and a carefully staged social ritual. The act of cooking was brought out of the kitchen and placed at the center of the banquet, transforming eating into a shared, interactive performance full of warmth and human connection. In the southern state of Xing, archaeologists later discovered in the tomb of a ruler named Yi an exquisitely designed set of bronze vessels. This ensemble featured inner and outer layers that ingeniously combined cooling and warming functions. Ice or hot water could be placed in the outer layer to regulate the temperature of the food stored within. This sophisticated understanding of temperature control and the pursuit of multifunctional design seemed to have planted an ancient seed for what hot pot would eventually become. As history moved forward into the Qin and Han dynasties, the emergence of a unified and powerful empire brought an unprecedented level of material abundance and social stability. Food, once a matter of mere survival, gradually evolved into a source of pleasure, a form of culture, and even an expression of state ritual. After auspicious events, the imperial court would bestow wine and meat upon the people, holding nationwide celebrations that could last for days. It was within this atmosphere of prosperity and communal festivity that the form of hot pot became clearer. At the same time, the widespread dissemination of Buddhism promoted vegetarianism, significantly expanding the range of hot pot ingredients. Wild mushrooms from the mountains, seasonal vegetables from cultivated fields, and tofu derived from soybeans all found their place in the boiling pot. Hot pot was no longer confined to the savory appeal of meat alone. It also embraced the elegance and restraint of plant-based cuisine, imbued with a subtle sense of Buddhist calm. A mural from a Wei Jin tomb in the northwestern desert captures a vivid moment. 3 figures sit on the ground around a round-bellied, 3-legged pot, steam rising as one of them lifts food with long chopsticks. Though faded with age, the image vividly conveys how, in that turbulent yet integrative era, the practice of sharing a pot of hot broth had already become a common custom, offering warmth, comfort, and emotional connection across northern China. When the wheel of history rolled into the Tang and Song dynasties, China reached a period of extraordinary prosperity, and hot pot culture experienced its first major flourishing. The Tang dynasty, one of the most open and confident eras in Chinese history, fostered an unprecedented inclusiveness and creativity in its culinary culture. During this time, hot pot gradually moved beyond aristocratic circles and became a widely enjoyed dish among the general population. In the eastern and western markets of Tang Dynasty Chang'an, restaurants and taverns lined the streets, offering an astonishing variety of foods. Among them, a style of dining known as warm pot or hot pot gained particular popularity. A small brazier supported a pot that could be used both to warm wine and to cook food. This practice of sitting around a stove and eating while cooking became especially favored by scholars and literati. Tang Dynasty hot pot vessels also showed significant innovation, with the appearance of specially designed hot pot containers, typically made of copper or iron, featuring a central chimney for charcoal and a surrounding ring-shaped broth chamber. Their structure closely resembles that of modern mutton hot pot. In the Shanxi History Museum, a copper hot pot excavated from a Tang aristocratic tomb exemplifies this development, its refined craftsmanship and practical design testifying to the maturity of hot pot culture in the Tang era. As history advanced into the Song dynasty, hot pot culture reached a critical turning point. With the rise of a prosperous commercial economy and an expanding urban citizen class, culinary culture became increasingly diverse and refined. Both the northern Song capital of Bianjing, present-day Kaifeng in Hunan, and the southern Song capital of Linan, modern Hangzhou in Zhejiang, boasted extraordinarily thriving food industries. Specialized hot pot establishments emerged during this time. Historical texts describe the bustling night markets of Bianjing, listing winter delicacies such as rabbit meat, quickly roasted pork skin, wild duck, crystal-clear sliced fish, and assorted offal consumed late into the night. Among these, the term quick roast refers to a rapid cooking method that closely parallels the instant cooking philosophy of hot pot. Southern Song records go even further, explicitly mentioning warm pot as a standard offering in restaurants, noting that many establishments kept it ready for unexpected needs. This indicates that by the Song dynasty, hot pot had become a regular fixture in taverns and eateries. Broths and dipping sauces also grew more elaborate, with stocks made from bones, chicken, and duck, and accompaniments such as sesame paste, fermented bean curd, and chive flour sauce. In 1974, the excavation of a Song dynasty merchant ship at Huzhou Harbor in Quanzhou Bay, Fujian, yielded a complete set of copper dining utensils, including a finely designed copper pot with a deep base and internal partitions. This vessel is widely regarded as an early prototype of the divided, or yin-yang, hot pot. Now housed in the Quanzhou Maritime History Museum, it stands as a crucial piece of material evidence for the study of Song dynasty food culture and the evolution of hot pot. The prosperity of hot pot culture during the Tang and Song periods is also reflected in literature and art. Beyond poetry, paintings and anecdotal writings frequently allude to hot pot practices. Although Zhang Ziduan's famous Along the River during the Qingming Festival does not explicitly depict a hot pot scene, its bustling restaurants and steaming cooking spaces vividly convey the richness of Song Dynasty culinary life, within which hot pot undoubtedly played an important role. Descriptions of people gathering around a stove on snowy days to cook and eat rabbit meat, detailing both preparation and cooking methods, closely resemble modern hot pot and are considered among the earliest detailed written accounts of this enduring culinary tradition. The widespread popularity of hot pot during the Tang and Song dynasties was closely intertwined with the profound social transformations of the time. In the Tang dynasty, the refinement of the imperial examination system opened paths of upward mobility for people from modest backgrounds, accelerating social circulation and allowing forms of elite dining culture that had once been reserved for the aristocracy to spread to the middle and lower strata of society. In the Song dynasty, the expansion of the urban citizen class and the flourishing of commercial life provided a solid market foundation for the mass popularization of hot pot. As a style of dining that could be shared by many and adjusted according to one's means, hot pot was perfectly suited to these social changes. Whether at elegant gatherings of scholars or at convivial meals among ordinary townsfolk, a single pot of steaming hot pot could create a warm and harmonious atmosphere, meeting the social needs of people across different classes. This practice of gathering around a shared pot was not merely a way of eating, but a social ritual in itself, reflecting traditional Chinese values that emphasize collectivism and harmony. The prosperity of hot pot culture during the Tang and Song dynasties laid a firm foundation for its further development and the emergence of distinct regional styles in the Ming and Qing periods. The Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties marked the later stage of China's imperial era and represented a critical period in which hot pot culture matured and developed clear regional characteristics. As the multi-ethnic state became more firmly established and regional exchange intensified, hot pot evolved into diverse forms and flavors across different areas, vividly illustrating the richness of Chinese culinary culture. The Yuan dynasty, founded by the Mongols, introduced new transformations to hot pot through the fusion of nomadic dietary traditions and Central Plains cooking techniques. Traditional Mongolian practices, such as boiling whole sheep and quickly cooking sliced mutton, were brought into the Central Plains and combined with existing hot pot customs, giving rise to distinctive northern styles. Historical texts describing Mongolian cuisine note that mutton is warm in nature and sweet in flavor, nourishing the body, boosting vital energy, and strengthening the spleen, reflecting the Mongols' strong preference for sheep meat. This tradition directly influenced the later formation of Beijing-style mutton hot pot. Yuan dynasty hot pot vessels also underwent changes. In addition to conventional copper pots, more portable designs known as yurt-shaped pots appeared. With domed lids resembling Mongolian yurts, these vessels were both practical and visually distinctive. The Inner Mongolia Museum preserves a Yuan dynasty copper hot pot whose form clearly blends Central Plains and Mongolian features, standing as tangible evidence of cultural integration in that era. The Ming dynasty served as a crucial bridge in the evolution of hot pot culture. With the introduction of chili peppers into China during the mid to late Ming period, hot pot flavors underwent a revolutionary transformation. Although chilies were initially cultivated as ornamental plants, their culinary value was soon recognized and gradually incorporated into everyday cooking. Li Shijian recorded in Compendium of Materia Medica that chili peppers are pungent in flavor and hot in nature. They warm the center, dispel cold, remove dampness, and relieve pain. This understanding provided a theoretical basis for their use in hot pot. At the same time, the growth of commerce and improvements in transportation facilitated the exchange of ingredients across regions, greatly enriching hot pot offerings. Seafood, mountain delicacies, and seasonal vegetables all found their way into the pot, fully demonstrating hot pot's defining inclusiveness. During the Ming dynasty, hot pot also entered the imperial court and became part of royal cuisine. Among the Ming palace artifacts housed in the Palace Museum in Beijing are exquisitely crafted hot pot vessels, including silver hot pots and cloisonné enamel hot pots, whose refined workmanship reflects the prominent status of hot pot in court dining. The Qing dynasty marked the golden age of hot pot, when its culture reached unprecedented heights. During this period, hot pot was not only widely enjoyed among the populace, but also highly favored in the imperial court, even becoming the centerpiece of grand state banquets, such as the famous Banquet of 1,000 Elders. Both the Qianlong Emperor and Empress Dowager Cixi were avid hot pot enthusiasts, and detailed records of court-style hot pot preparations appear in the archives of the imperial kitchen. In 1785, Qianlong hosted a banquet of 1,000 elders in the Hall of Heavenly Purity, inviting elders aged 65 and above from across the empire, with hot pot as the main dish. According to records of Qing court banquet regulations, more than 1,550 hot pots were used on that occasion, creating an extraordinarily spectacular scene. The Palace Museum still preserves some of the hot pot vessels used at the banquet, including massive copper pots and finely crafted silver ones. These artifacts not only showcase the superb craftsmanship of Qing dynasty hot pot utensils, but also testify to the exalted status of hot pot in the imperial court. Regional characteristics of hot pot became increasingly pronounced during the Qing dynasty, as different areas developed their own distinctive styles based on local resources and dietary habits. Beijing-style mutton hot pot is known for its tender meat and light broth, reflecting a perfect fusion of northern nomadic traditions and Central Plains culinary techniques. Sichuan hot pot is characterized by the bold interplay of chili peppers and Sichuan peppercorns, embodying the dietary wisdom of the humid Bashu region. Cantonese hot pot, or Dabian Lu, emphasizes freshness of ingredients and clarity of broth, showcasing the refinement and lightness of Lingnan cuisine. The warm pots of the Jiangnan region focus on careful ingredient pairing and layered flavors, expressing the delicacy of southern culinary culture. The warm pots of the Jiangnan region focus on careful ingredient pairing and layered flavors, expressing the delicacy of southern culinary culture. Together, these diverse hot pot styles form a rich and colorful tapestry of Chinese hot pot culture. The development of hot pot during the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties was not only reflected in advances in cooking techniques and the formation of regional styles, but more importantly in the deepening of its cultural significance. During this period, hot pot gradually transcended the realm of food and became a cultural phenomenon. The practice of gathering around a shared pot embodies the traditional Chinese concept of harmony, with different ingredients coexisting in a single vessel, symbolizing cultural integration and coexistence. Hot pot's inclusiveness, allowing people of all social backgrounds to sit around the same pot and take what they need, reflects traditional notions of equality. Meanwhile, the act of cooking while eating suggests a philosophy of continuous growth and renewal. These layers of meaning elevate hot pot beyond mere cuisine, transforming it into a cultural symbol that carries Chinese wisdom about life and values. The maturity of hot pot culture during the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties laid a solid foundation for its modern diversification and secured its place as one of the most representative and influential categories within Chinese culinary culture. As the wheels of history rolled into the modern era, Chinese society underwent unprecedented transformations. Hot pot, as an essential component of Chinese food culture, continued to adapt, innovate, and evolve through these changes. From the late Qing dynasty to the Republican period, and through the various stages following the founding of the People's Republic of China, hot pot has consistently captivated the Chinese people, renewing itself with enduring vitality amid social change. From the late Qing dynasty to the Republican era, China underwent a critical transition from tradition to modernity, and hot pot culture evolved markedly in response to these sweeping changes. As Western influences entered the country and urbanization accelerated, hot pot gradually moved beyond its traditional settings of home kitchens and banquet-style restaurants into far more diverse modes of consumption. In major cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing, and Chengdu, specialized hot pot restaurants began to appear, some of which later developed into renowned time-honored brands. Beijing's Donglai mutton hot pot and Chongqing's Qa2 hot pot both laid their foundations during this period. These establishments offered not only distinctive flavors, but also developed their own business philosophies, service standards, and dining rituals, transforming hot pot from a domestic cooking method into a commercialized culinary industry with clear market value. Another significant change during the Republican era was the further enrichment of ingredients and the refinement of cooking techniques. Improvements in transportation and the early application of refrigeration made it possible for seafood and imported meats, once difficult to preserve, to appear in hot pot, greatly expanding its sensory range. At the same time, dipping sauces became increasingly diversified, with different regions developing signature formulas aligned with local tastes. Beijing favored sesame paste-based sauces, Sichuan popularized oil-based dipping sauces, and Guangdong embraced satay sauce. These condiments not only enhanced flavor, but also became important cultural markers, distinguishing regional hot pot traditions. The growing popularity of hot pot during the Republican period was also closely linked to broader social and cultural shifts. Traditional social structures were gradually loosening, while new ideas, such as gender equality and more open social interaction, began to circulate. Hot pot, with its shared format and relaxed atmosphere, was ideally suited to these changes. In tea houses and restaurants, it became common to see friends and families gathered around a bubbling pot, making hot pot an important medium for social interaction. After the founding of the People's Republic of China, hot pot experienced a trajectory from relative dormancy during the planned economy period to full revival after the reform and opening up. During the years of planned economy, material scarcity placed certain constraints on a dish that required multiple ingredients. Even so, in regions with deep-rooted hot pot traditions, such as Sichuan and Beijing, hot pot persisted in various forms.
In particular, the spicy hot pot of Sichuan and Chongqing, with its intense flavors and relatively simple ingredient requirements, remained popular even during difficult times. In this era, hot pot was primarily a form of home cooking or a specialty dish offered by a limited number of state-run restaurants, and it had not yet developed into a large-scale, industrialized sector. With the advent of reform and opening up, rapid economic growth and rising living standards ushered in unprecedented opportunities for hot pot. Since the 1980s, the hot pot industry has expanded rapidly, evolving from a collection of regional specialties into a nationwide dining phenomenon. This period was marked by several defining trends. First was the rise of chain-based and brand-driven business models. National chains such as Haidilao and Little Sheep promoted standardization and scalability, while also carrying hot pot culture to a much wider audience. Second was the remarkable diversification of hot pot styles. Beyond traditional mutton and spicy hot pot, new variations emerged, including mushroom hot pot, seafood hot pot, congee-based hot pot, and pickled fish hot pot, catering to increasingly diverse consumer preferences. Third was the internationalization of hot pot. As China's global engagement deepened, hot pot began to spread abroad. In overseas Chinese communities and major international cities, Chinese hot pot restaurants multiplied, turning hot pot into an important ambassador of Chinese culinary culture. The development of modern hot pot has also been driven by technological innovation and consumption upgrades. Advances in cooking equipment, such as the widespread use of induction cooktops, made hot pot safer and more convenient, freeing it from reliance on charcoal or gas and expanding its range of consumption scenarios. Meanwhile, improvements in cold chain logistics and food processing ensured stable quality and supply of ingredients. The industrial production of hot pot bases and dipping sauces also made preparing hot pot at home easier than ever. At the same time, as consumers became more health conscious, expectations for hot pot continued to rise. Low-fat, low-sodium broths and organic, sustainably sourced ingredients emerged as new trends. Many hot pot enterprises began to emphasize cultural experience as well, blending traditional elements with modern design to create dining spaces rich in cultural character, turning hot pot into not only a sensory pleasure, but also a form of cultural engagement. The reason hot pot has endured for centuries and grown into one of the most representative culinary phenomena of contemporary China lies in its deep interaction with the underlying structures of Chinese culture. Hot pot is not merely a cooking method or dietary choice, but a cultural symbol that carries Chinese philosophical thinking, values, social relationships, and aesthetic sensibilities. Understanding this profound interaction between hot pot and Chinese culture is key to understanding its lasting appeal. From north to south, Beijing's hot pot embodies a stately elegance shaped by imperial heritage and the austere climate of the northern plains. Copper pots over glowing charcoal, clear broth gently simmering, its essence lies entirely in the purity of the act of swishing. The base is often nothing more than fresh water, accented with a few slices of ginger, sections of scallion, and a handful of goji berries, crystal clear and never overpowering. The true protagonist is the mutton, sourced from the grasslands of Inner Mongolia and sliced by skilled hands so thin it resembles cicada wings or unfurling petals, arranged on blue and white porcelain plates like works of art. Diners lift a slice with long chopsticks, dipping it into the swirling broth 3 times up and down,
watching the color change from vivid red to pale pink before dipping it into a rich sesame-based sauce balanced with peanut paste, fermented bean curd, chive flour paste, and fragrant sesame oil. What follows is an exquisite contrast between the lamb's tenderness and the sauce's deep, velvety richness, an experience both bold and restrained. This style of hot pot mirrors the character of Beijing itself, outwardly grand, inwardly governed by quiet discipline and depth. Seated around the copper pot, with icy northern winds perhaps rattling outside while warmth rolls endlessly within, one senses both the refinement of imperial cuisine passed down to the people and the uninhibited spirit of nomadic traditions, fused at last into a uniquely Beijing warmth, steeped in historical resonance. Following the Yangtze River upstream into the basin of Bashu, the temperament of hot pot shifts abruptly, becoming fiery, vivid, and unmistakably of the streets. Chongqing hot pot is a direct expression of the raw vitality of dock workers and the chivalrous spirit of the river ports. The broth is a visual and sensory shock.
Thick beef tallow, solidified like molten gold, is densely packed with chili peppers and Sichuan peppercorns. Once heated, it transforms into a churning crimson lava, releasing an aroma both enticing and intimidating. The core of this flavor lies in numbing heat and fragrance, where numbness and spice are not mere stimulation, but layers of depth and richness. Ingredients such as beef tripe, duck intestines, and pork aorta, prized for their crisp resilience, are revered here. The ritual of dipping them 7 times up and 8 times down in the boiling oil reflects a folk wisdom devoted to perfect timing. Diners gather around iron pots divided into 9 sections, where the compartments separate not only ingredients, but also create an orderly structure within shared exuberance. Sweat-soaked faces, booming laughter, and raised cups are all part of the scene. The allure of Chongqing hot pot lies in its unfiltered intensity. Like the cable cars threading through the mountain city, it is direct, powerful, and alive with street energy and martial spirit, vividly expressing the bold, forthright, and fearless character with which the people of the region confront the heat of life itself. Closely related to Chongqing, yet distinct in its own charm, is the hot pot of Chengdu. If Chongqing hot pot feels like a roaming swordsman of the Zhanghu, living by fierce loyalties and swift reckonings, then Chengdu hot pot is more like a cultivated gentleman who truly understands the art of savoring life. Its heat often leans toward a fragrant, aromatic spiciness with a lingering, gentle sweetness. Fermented rice wine and rock sugar are frequently added to the base to soften the edges, so that even when the flavor is bold, it carries a roundness and layered finish. The selection of ingredients is broader and more refined as well. Beyond the classics, such as tripe and duck intestine, you will often find handmade meatballs, tender, slippery pork slices, and carefully chosen mushrooms and seasonal vegetables, each granted its own rightful place. The dining environment is usually curated with intention. It might be a courtyard half hidden by bamboo, or a modern space shaped by deliberate design. Even the conversation seems to grow a touch softer, with more attention paid to unhurried companionship and the quiet comfort of being understood. Turn your gaze to the south, and the Cantonese style known as Dabian Lu in Lingnan reveals a completely different hot pot aesthetic, one that pursues the ingredient's natural essence and sweetness to the extreme. Cantonese cuisine is deeply fluent in the wisdom of simplicity, and the broth is often a clear soup, sometimes even just plain water, brightened only by a few chunks of radish, slices of corn, or a handful of red dates, all meant to elevate the freshness of what follows. The true protagonists are seafood delivered at dawn, such as live prawns, abalone, and shellfish, along with freshly sliced tender beef, fish fillets, and hand-pounded beef balls or fish balls. The dipping sauce is stripped down to its simplest form. It is typically nothing more than a dish of light soy sauce with a few threads of scallion and ginger, perhaps with a ring of chili if one insists. Diners add the freshest ingredients to the gently boiling clear broth, blanch them briefly, and eat them at once, capturing food at its peak, when its juices and sweetness are most alive. This rigorous devotion to freshness reflects both the natural abundance of a coastal region and a long-standing Cantonese tradition of culinary exactness. The rhythm of Da Bien Lu is usually unhurried. It feels like a seasonal gathering devoted to timing and freshness, where true flavor emerges from restraint and skill reveals itself through simplicity. It embodies the practical refinement and respect for nature that runs through Cantonese culture. In the watery towns of Jiangnan, hot pot appears in an elegant guise, often called noon guo, sometimes chrysanthemum nuanguo. It carries less of the northern grandeur and less of the western intensity, and instead offers a scholar's clarity and a certain poetic grace. The base might be a slow-simmered stock made from Zhenhua ham, local chicken, and pork bones, golden and clear, rich with depth. The arrangement of ingredients is composed almost like a painting. Egg dumplings suggest ingots, meatballs imply reunion, smoked fish adds aroma, and crisp fried fish brings another layer of flavor. Winter bamboo shoots and tender greens follow, and finally a small scatter of chrysanthemum petals may be added for a clean, floral lift. It is not only mellow and delicious, but also filled with auspicious symbolism and visual beauty. Nuanguo is often not a meal of constant swishing and immediate bites. Instead, ingredients are stacked in careful layers. Broth is added, and everything is gently stewed together before being shared. It resembles an exceptionally abundant, refined soup, devoted to the slow intermingling and elevation of flavors. In this, it reflects the Jiangnan preference for family warmth, meaningful symbolism, and harmonious completion. It is not aggressive in the way some hot pot styles are. It is restrained and tender, quietly simmering blessings into a single pot of warmth. From north to south, from west to east, hot pot changes its form countless times, yet its underlying taste remains the same. It is the Chinese longing for togetherness and warmth. Like a many-faceted prism, it refracts climate, produce, history, and temperament into distinct regional expressions.
Whether it is the copper pot beneath the shadow of Forbidden City, the 9-grid pot by the river docks of Chongqing, the Dabianlu in Lingnan alleyways, or the chrysanthemum pot in the Jiangnan courtyard, what boils ceaselessly is not only broth and ingredients. It is a centuries-deep affection for lively human company and a life warmed by tenderness. Hot pot's deep interaction with Chinese culture is also evident in how it integrates and expresses regional identities. China is vast, with striking regional differences, yet hot pot crosses boundaries to become a nationwide phenomenon while still preserving vivid local character. The robust openness of Beijing mutton hot pot, the blazing intensity of Sichuan spicy hot pot, the delicate precision of Cantonese Dabianlu, and the gentle grace of Jiangnan nuanguo are not merely reflections of local climate and produce. They are expressions of local temperament and cultural texture. This harmony without sameness, a shared national form with distinct local voices, is a miniature of China's diversity within unity. Through hot pot, people can experience both the richness and the coherence of Chinese culture, appreciate the unique value of different regional traditions, and still feel a shared sense of belonging within a broader cultural community. As the cultural significance of hot pot has become increasingly visible, museums dedicated to collecting, researching, and exhibiting hot pot culture have emerged. These museums are not only preservers of history, but also centers of study and platforms for cultural transmission. Through objects, documents, and multimedia displays, they translate abstract cultural meanings into concrete experiences, allowing visitors to feel the depth and breadth of hot pot culture directly. In China, several representative hot pot museums showcase the historical evolution and cultural meaning of hot pot from different angles. The Chongqing Hot Pot Museum is the first specialized museum in China devoted to hot pot. Located in the Yubei district of Chongqing, it covers an area of roughly 3,000 square meters and holds a collection of more than 1,000 items, including hot pot vessels, documentary materials, and related cultural artifacts from ancient times to the present. It presents the development of hot pot and its cultural implications in a systematic way. Beyond showcasing recipes and production methods for different soup bases, the museum also features interactive areas. Visitors can experience the aromas of different hot pot styles through scent-based installations and learn dipping sauce combinations through touchscreen displays. The Chongqing Hot Pot Museum is not only an exhibition space, but also a research institution. It regularly hosts cultural seminars, publishes research outcomes, and promotes academic study of hot pot culture. The Chengdu Sichuan Cuisine Museum is the only museum in China dedicated exclusively to the culture of a single regional cuisine. Its hot pot exhibition focuses on the formation and evolution of Sichuan spicy hot pot, using a rich collection of historical documents, old photographs, and physical artifacts to recreate the journey of Sichuan hot pot from street-side fare to a beloved staple of everyday dining. Among the exhibits, a complete set of hot pot utensils from the Republican era is particularly striking. It includes a copper pot, a charcoal stove, and long chopsticks, with the shop names of period hot pot restaurants still engraved on the metal. These objects are invaluable primary materials for studying the commercialization of hot pot during the Republican period. The museum also preserves specimens of different varieties of chili peppers and Sichuan peppercorns, highlighting the agricultural and botanical foundations behind the signature flavors of Sichuan hot pot. The hot pot exhibition at the Beijing Food Culture Museum takes a different approach, concentrating on northern styles of hot pot, especially the development of mutton hot pot. Located in Beijing's Xicheng district, the museum draws on extensive artifacts and written records to trace how mutton hot pot evolved from a traditional Mongolian food into a defining feature of Beijing cuisine. One of its most impressive displays is a Qing dynasty cloisonné hot pot, exquisitely crafted and vividly colored, exemplifying the luxury of imperial hot pot dining. Particularly noteworthy is the museum's complete set of mutton hot pot tools, including slicing knives, meat planes, and skimmers. The design and use of these tools demonstrate the high degree of specialization and refinement that this style of hot pot achieved. Through video presentations, the museum also showcases the knife skills involved in slicing lamb so thin it is nearly translucent, and the precise moment when the meat changes color in boiling broth. This relentless pursuit of technical perfection reflects the long-standing Chinese culinary ideal that food should be prepared with the utmost precision and care. The value of hot pot museums lies not only in preservation and display, but also in research and innovative cultural transmission. Scholars at the Chongqing Hot Pot Museum have uncovered evidence through historical texts showing that a relatively mature system of spicy hot pot had already taken shape in Sichuan during the Qing dynasty, a finding that challenges earlier assumptions about the origins of mala hot pot. Meanwhile, the Chengdu Sichuan Cuisine Museum has conducted extensive oral history interviews with owners of old hot pot restaurants, documenting how techniques were passed down through direct teaching and lived experience. This approach offers a new model for safeguarding culinary traditions as intangible cultural heritage. When we look back from the present at the millennia-long history of hot pot and turn our gaze toward its future, a clear picture emerges. This ancient culinary form, with its remarkable inclusiveness and adaptability, is actively seeking new balances between tradition and modernity, and forging new paths between globalization and local identity. The future of hot pot will not lie in the mechanical repetition of tradition, nor in blind imitation of modern trends, but in creative transformation and innovative development grounded in a deep understanding of its cultural core. One important direction for the future of hot pot is health and scientific refinement. As people increasingly prioritize healthy living, concerns about the high oil, high salt, and high-calorie content of traditional hot pot have come to the forefront. Future hot pot practices will place greater emphasis on nutritional balance and evidence-based combinations of ingredients. Another major trend is intelligence and convenience. Modern technology is reshaping dining practices, and hot pot is no exception. Intelligent hot pot equipment has already begun to appear, including induction cooktops that automatically regulate temperature, smart pots that precisely control cooking times, and even systems that can be operated remotely via mobile applications. These innovations enhance safety and convenience while making the cooking process more precise and controllable. In terms of ingredient supply, advances in cold chain logistics, vacuum packaging, and rapid freezing technologies ensure freshness and quality, freeing hot pot from the constraints of region and season. As exchanges between China and the rest of the world continue to deepen, hot pot is moving onto the global stage while simultaneously absorbing culinary elements from other cultures. In Europe and North America, chili usage may be reduced and locally familiar ingredients introduced. In Southeast Asia, regional spices and seasoning methods may be incorporated. This process of cultural integration is not a one-way export, but a dynamic exchange. As hot pot travels outward, it also gathers culinary wisdom from around the world, enriching its own tradition. If you have never tried hot pot, oh my friend, you are missing something truly wonderful. Hot pot can be a comforting meal for one, a perfect choice for a date, or a shared feast for the whole family. After hearing all these stories about hot pot, pick up your phone and search for a hot pot restaurant near you. And one more thing, make sure it is a Chinese hot pot restaurant. That is all for today. See you next time.